being created to help you use the video capture program Tracker. In this grade 9 tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use Tracker to track the motion of a swinging pendulum. The first thing we need to do is we need to open Tracker, and when we open Tracker you can see that the program has 3 windows. The first window is this main view window where we can load up the video, or we can drag the video into this and it should appear. The other 2 windows are the graphing window, which is the top right, and the table video, which is the bottom left. For our case, or for today's tutorial, we'll just be interested in manipulating the video and looking at the graph. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get a preloaded video, or we need to get the video itself. So the preloaded video is me swinging a pendulum, and all I do is I grab the video and I drag it into Tracker. As soon as I've dragged it into Tracker, Tracker will then load up the video, and you should be able to see in the main video window that there is me holding a pendulum. And if I let this in, if I go down to the bottom left corner and press the green button and press play, you should see that hopefully I let go of the mass, and as I let go of the mass starts to move across and then back again, as we expect pendulum motion to do so. What you're also noticing is that Tracker's now gone and taken my MOV file and has broken it down into 140 or 150 frames. So there's now 150 individual frames in this movie. The problem with this movie is that there's too much information. So the first thing we have to do is we have to trim it. By trimming it, what I mean, if I go back to the beginning, there is a long time until I release the pendulum. So what I want to do is I want to find the point where I'm actually going to release the pendulum. To do this, I'm using just the normal play function, and I'm moving it across until I find the point where I actually let go, which is around about here. So to trim the movie, I then go and get this black arrow underneath, and I drag the black arrow underneath where my play, or where my position button is at the moment. I then need to find where the end of the movie is going to be. Now I'm only interested in one complete swing. That's the time it takes for the pendulum, or the mass at the bottom, to swing out and then back again. So if I keep on tracking through the video, I'm swinging out, this is the point where it goes out, and then if I keep on going, it starts to come back, it starts to come back, it starts to come back, and then I'm looking for the point where it's just going to start to go back again, which is around about here. Around about there. So I'm only interested in that short piece of the movie. Now, to trim the end of the movie, I go and get the other black arrow, I drag it, and I put it under my position marker, like that. And you should find now that if I press the rewind button, or reset, it now resets to the point where I actually let go of the pendulum, to the point where it comes back to its original starting position. And if I press play, hopefully that is what is going to happen. So the start of the movie and the end of the movie is now discarded. So now what we need to do is we now need to start collecting data points, because we want to see what's actually happening, or we want to collect some data from this movie. So the first thing we're going to do is, you'll actually notice that at the bottom of the movie, or at the bottom, there is a meter stick. We need a meter stick because we need to calibrate the movie. So I'm going to go to the top where I've got this plus 10 tab. I'm going to select it, I'm going to go to new, and I'm going to calibration stick. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this calibration stick to calibrate the movie. Because it's a movie with pixels, we have to tell Tracker approximately how or what distance each pixel is. So I'm going to do this to here, and then I'm going to tell Tracker, I'm going to go up to the top here, and I'm going to tell Tracker that this is 1.0 meters. So the tracker now knows that this distance is 1 meter, so it can then start to calibrate. We might actually need to move this down a little bit because I think it might actually interfere with the swing. So I'm actually going to put it down here to start off with. We also need to give the movie a starting reference point. To do that, we go up to these little crosshairs tab at the top here. We select them, and then what we do is we go and we drag this down to the center of the mass as possible. So we now have a starting position, we now have a distance reference position, and we're now ready to take data points. To take data points, we need to create a new set of data points. So we're going to go to the top tab called Create. We're going to go to Point Mass, and now you can see that we've got this little window called Mass A, which is our point mass A, which we're going to take measurements from, and we've also now got a graph that's appeared, and we've also got the start of data that's also appearing. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to personalize this a little bit, and I'm going to rename it, and instead of Mass A, I'm just going to call it Pendulum. So, once I've now got Pendulum selected, once I've now got my pendulum selected, I can now start to take data points. To do this, I need to use two buttons. I need to hold down the Shift button. And when I hold down the Shift button, you should see that my little arrow, here's my arrow, if I hold down Shift, turns now into a target button, similar to like a gun sight target. Now if I go to the center of the pendulum and I click, you should see that a data point appears in the graph, that data appears in the table, and that now the frame has moved on. So holding down Shift, I then go and find the center of the mass again, and I click. Again, another data point has appeared, another value has occurred in the table, and the movie has moved on to the next frame. And then I'm going to continue tracking, this is why it's called tracker, the mass. As I track the mass, I'm always holding down Shift, and I'm pressing the mouse every time to select a data point, and you can start to see that in the top right hand corner the graph is started to appear, and in the bottom corner table of data is appearing. Now this is going to take a little bit of time because I think there's around about 40 data points, and at the moment we're on about 20. Now obviously I'm rushing this a little bit, so when you get to practice doing this, you can do this with more care, because you should really be getting the center of the mass of the pendulum at every opportunity. So we're on 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, we're getting back to the beginning, 40, 41, 2, 43, you can see that the movie's nearly at the end, 44, 45, maybe 2 or 3 more, 46, 47, and that's the end of the movie. Now, if I go to the bottom and I click the rewind button and I press play, you should now see that all those tracking marks have now been nicely tracked out. They all come back down, and as they all come back down again, you should also see that the points are following through on the graph. The purpose of using tracker for this data video is to show that a free swinging pendulum produces a wave-like function. You're now going to probably go and try this yourself. If you need to go back to the tutorial, you can do, but the idea of pendulums and wave properties is something that your teacher will then elaborate upon later. Okay, this is the end of the tutorial. Thanks for listening. Bye.